I think a huge mental shift that I've even seen so many wheelies, they've made this mental shift and it has been so beneficial for them. And it kind of goes along with this is like, instead of saying, what if something happens, you say, even if something happens, because you're going to be prepared for that, even if, not the what if. Instead of what if, because the what if is like going to pile on that anxiety for you because you're going to be like, I don't know what to do if this happens. But if you say, even if it happens, it's going to push you to take things one day at a time and push forward, and take action because you're going to be prepared for even if it happens.
Welcome back to another episode of Till the Wheels Fall Off. I'm Matt.
I'm Paige.
Let's unpack one day at a time today. It's something you've probably heard a million times, not even in the recovery world, just in general. Just take it one day at a time. Just right now. Let's just focus on the right now. I think that sometimes we can use this when we shouldn't. I think that sometimes we can use this and not really understand what it is we're trying to achieve after all. I think sometimes we can use this and it can be really, really beneficial. We're going to talk about the times that it can and sometimes when it's not exactly the best advice you can give yourself. Paige is going to give her perspective from a spouse and how this really applies. I'll give mine from addiction recovery and how I used it. And then we'll talk about how you can use this in your everyday life.
Your relationship.
Yeah, we had a really good question today in our community, which, by the way, if you weren't aware, we have a free Facebook community for listeners that we'll talk about here in just a bit. And someone had asked how Paige specifically uses one day at a time. It's advice that's often given to people who are working through addiction, but this is advice for everybody. But be careful with it, as we will discuss here soon. First things first, thanks to Soberlink, today's sponsor for our show. If you don't know what it is by now, it's the world's greatest accountability device that resembles a breathalyzer, because that's ultimately what it is, but it's so much more than that. You set up a network of people to get notified every time you use this thing. And why is that beneficial? Because you might be hearing this thinking, I don't want them to know. I think you ought to. The gift of visibility is something that Soberlink offers that very few things can. When I was trying to get sober, she had to take my word for it that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But we were also kind of unique in the sense this was my first real try at sobriety. I hadn't been to treatment 3 or 4 times. We hadn't tried a real go at sobriety and I had come up short. What I'm saying is that my words still had meaning then. You might be in a position where they don't. And it's like the boy that cried wolf and you've told her it's going to be different. It's different this time. Just trust me. Just trust me. And trust is lost in buckets and it's rebuilt in droplets. At some point, our words lose meaning. And Soberlink can help you rebuild that because every negative test is a drop back into that bucket of trust. And it's transparency that spouses desperately crave. They don't want to look for bottles. They don't want to have to ask you to smell your breath or wonder or be afraid to ask you because you might fly off the handle if they do. Listen, this is something we both come to terms with and we agree upon, and we're going to use it as a tool to rebuild trust and establish accountability because accountability is important. It is going to keep you from drinking in moments where you know you could get away with it because people are going to know. They're going to get alerted. It's also going to give you support. I think it's important to recognize that as well, is that you've got people that you put in this, whether that's friends that are really supportive of your recovery journey, if that's a spouse, if that's a fiance, whoever, right? People that are in your circle that care about you, they're going to be cheering you on. They're going to get notified of those milestones. And that's an amazing thing to have. It's also got facial recognition technology so that you can trust the person using the device is the person that's supposed to be using that thing. And it's tamper proof. You can't mess with this thing. You can't screw with it. You can't treat it like, go in the back and take it apart at the tool chest and try to screw with it. They get alerted if you try to screw with these things. And it's got a team on standby 24/7 that reviews the data. They know the difference between someone who's just put on cologne and someone who is drinking alcohol. And they will ask you to retest if anything comes up funny. It's never been easier to get into Soberlink either. For right now, they're offering rental programs on these things. $19 a month is all it takes. I was going to mention this, then I forgot. It's more important to mention the rental first. Since you're a listener of our show, they're going to give you a $100 gift card that most people don't get. You can use that toward anything. You can use it toward the monthly subscription cost. You can use that on Tufo merch. You can use that on Amazon. You can use that on your water bill. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to use it on, they're going to offer you that. Just go to soberlink.com/wheels. Enter your email address and they will send you a coupon voucher for that gift card. Again, that's soberlink.com/wheels. While you're on the internet, check out twfo.com. That's our website where you can find out everything there is to know about us. You can check out our free Facebook community, which inside of that, if you search Discord or check out any of our community chats, which are disappearing, I think, Actually, no, by the time this comes out, they'll be gone.
Yeah.
I think October 5th was the date.
Oh, I thought it was the 4th.
I think it's the 5th. It could be wrong. You might be right about that, but it's very soon. By the time this comes out, there will be no more community chats. So we opened up a Discord, and that's totally free, a place where you can connect with people regionally, people going through specific things. There's also a forum in there. Thank you to the Wheelie that recommended that. That's an awesome way for people to discuss certain topics, whatever it might be, whatever's going on. If you're struggling, you need someone to talk to. There's people in there from all over the world. Someone's going to be awake. Someone's going to be there in your time of need. It's really, really awesome watching Wheelies kind of like all run to the rescue to support one another. And it's one of the last pure things in the world as far as I'm concerned. And we're really proud of the community and the Discord and everything you guys are doing in there. And again, that's 100% free. You can also find out more about our program called Independently Strong, a program that we built with a licensed therapist that kind of walks you through the reclamation of yourself. Now, oftentimes spouses and partners come to us and are like, I just feel like I don't know who I am anymore. I don't even know where to start. I've been so focused on this other stuff in my life that I don't know who I am. Even if I wanted to walk away, I don't even know where to start because I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want, what I value, anything. You don't know how to set boundaries. You don't know what it is to take care of yourself anymore, how to reconnect with people. We're going to walk you through every bit of that. And there's no more discount coupon for that course. We just drop the price on it, make it easier for everybody, right? Just go to independentlystrong.com or our website, tufo.com. We've got some merch up there. We've got recovery rocks. That's a recovery rock right there. It's got our logo on the front. On the back, it says, thank you for being my rock. This is a way for someone like me to acknowledge her journey. Here, take this rock. I want to start doing that. I'll start handing it over to you.
Okay, thank you.
And then you show it. It's a cool way to acknowledge the journey that someone else has walked with you through recovery. Oftentimes, spouses and partners are kind of left out of these conversations. People ask me all the time, how are you doing? How are you feeling? How are things? No one asked her what it was like. No one asked her.
Me? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no one asked her what was going on, how she was feeling. And oftentimes, those journeys are never recognized. It's just assumed that they're doing just fine, which isn't the case. It's a really cool way to acknowledge someone else's, sacrifices that they've walked with you through this recovery journey. We've got t-shirts and we've got hats and sweatshirts are up there. And we've got more stuff that was just sent off this week that should be coming back pretty soon. I'm excited to release that stuff, keep everyone warm for the winter, give you guys some t-shirts to wear. Looking forward to that stuff. I just like having it around, really. Even if no one buys it, I enjoy it.
I know. It's good quality stuff, man.
It's awesome stuff.
Like we've washed this stuff and it just like washes really well and it wears well. I love it.
Yeah. We test everything that we've ever made for the show because the worst thing in the world is whenever like you want to support a creator, you want to support a company or a team that you love, whatever, and then you buy something and you wash it once and it turns into crap. We don't play that game.
It's not disposable.
No. Our sweatshirts were literally tested for a year before we ever printed anything on them and then offer them to you guys because we can stand by them. We trust it. So very soon, keep an eye out for those. Check out our social media. If you don't know it exists, maybe you just found us on some podcast app, but Tufo_couple. That's TWFO_couple. We're on
TikTok,
all the
Instagram,
things,
Facebook, YouTube. Yes.
Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. That's all of them. I think that's all of them, right?
Yeah.
Check us out there. We post pretty regularly, keep our stories fed, and it's a good place to engage with content. There's not a whole lot out there for you guys. And so that was our goal here, is to give you a space to make sure that you're heard. And we want you to know that someone's got your back.
Yep.
Even in a world that feels like it's counter to everything that you're feeling and your feelings don't matter. You need to think of it this way. We got your back. Okay. We will fight those fights for you.
Yep.
All day long. I think that's it.
Yeah, I think we're good.
As always, we will come back to this and I will interrupt this show if I've forgotten something. But let's get on this one. I love this topic. I think this is greatness, and thank you for putting this one together.
Okay. Yeah. So one day at a time, we see it everywhere. We've heard about it everywhere. I heard about it whenever Matt went to AA. I know that it's used in Al-Anon sometimes. It's just one of those catchy phrases that people like to use. And sometimes it gets misinterpreted, I believe. And I also feel like some people might look at that or hear it and think like, whatever, I need to be prepared. I need to look at the future. I need to have goals. I need to have all of these things. Which, yes, that's accurate, but there's like a gray area here. So we're going to basically talk about that. And I first want to talk about how, what it meant. What does it mean to you? What is it? Where did you hear it? How did it change your life? Where do you apply it in your life? And I had another question, but I think that's it. Go for it.
When I was in treatment, I remember checking in and there were like posters all over the walls, just various sayings. A lot of them came from like 12-step communities, but some of them just recovery in general. It's like, easy does it, one day at a time. That was, and I'd probably heard it before, like it's a very common term that we tell people. It's just one day at a time, just focus on right now. It's rather difficult to grasp though, whenever you're trying to stop something that you've been hooked on for often cases decades. And suddenly you're told like, just focus on right now, just focus on today. Because here's where I'm at. When I was in treatment and it was in the springtime, I was already thinking about the holidays, which were 9 months away. And how am I going to celebrate Thanksgiving? How am I going to celebrate the holidays? What do I do at New Year's? Like our daughter was 9 months old at the time and I was already tripping out. Like, how am I going to like toast at her wedding?
Right.
Because I'm thinking down the line and all of the ways that alcohol factored into my life. And like, I could not just keep myself present, focused on just today. And some of the best advice I ever got came from this friend of mine. He was like probably 10 years sober at the time. And he was a volunteer at the treatment center. He came in, he spoke to us. I got some time with him after that meeting and he was very transparent with me. He was like, I've never sworn off drinking forever. I looked at him. I was like, oh, what? Like, you can't say that, like in a place like
oh,
this.
No, you're not supposed to say that at all.
Yeah, but it was so counter to everything I'd ever heard. He's like, I've never sworn off drinking forever. Like, I've never once done that. He's like, I don't know what happens to me in 6 months. I don't know what happens to me in a year or even tomorrow. He's like, I just know I woke up today and I'm like, I'm just not drinking today. And I was like, God, I really like that. And it's essentially the same thing, just one day at a time. But like the way he broke it down to me was really cool because I think what was powerful about it was that he was also he wasn't putting any pressure on himself for what the future would look like. He wasn't in that moment tripping out about what would happen for the holidays or his daughter's wedding or anything like that. It was just focused in that present moment. In early sobriety, I'll be very transparent with you. It sucks. It's really, really hard. Like the first 9 months, especially, I'm not sure anyone feels real great about that time in their life because you're going through so much turmoil. Like addiction's like a freight train. Just because you stop pulling it doesn't mean that everything stops rolling.
You're also shifting your identity because your entire life has been based upon, not your entire life, but many, many years have been based around the substance or the behaviors and all the things that you've been doing. Like that was your life. Every holiday you would drink, every birthday party you would drink, all these special occasions. So now you're like literally having to shift your identity and what you believe in and what you want to do. And that's challenging for anybody, Yeah,
that's a really great point. Like so much of like you can look at it from the outside and say, it's just a substance. Like just put it down. It's like just a liquid, just put it down. But it's so much more than that. You're right. There's so much of your identity that's wrapped up into it. And it's such a personal relationship because we use it for any number of things. It can be to cope with stress or exhaustion or anxiety or past pain. It can be a number of things that we use it for. And it's kind of like a cure-all in a lot of ways.
You can look at it like, okay, well, you were always there for me. Like the substance. It's like, oh, it was always there for me. It always was able to change my feelings and how I was feeling at the moment. And that's what you wanted, was for your feelings to change because you didn't want to feel that hurt or that deep or whatever it was. You're just like, I need to take this to make that go away. So it was always there for you.
Yeah. And there's like a bit of a mourning period in there too that no one really talks about, that is very real, I think, for people who are recovering from addiction, is that there's a bit of a mourning period where you do feel like you've lost a friend, even if it was like a very toxic friend. There's a period in your life where you like to romanticize. We all do this, right? We look at life through rose-colored glasses and we like to remember the good times. And we romanticize the handful of times that I got my mixture just right and it was perfect. But you're not thinking about the day-to-day destruction and the little ways that it affects your health or your relationships and all that stuff. And in the moment, that stuff doesn't feel as big as, oh my God, like this huge part of me and my coping mechanism has just been taken from me. And that's the weight of that is also bearing down on you, as opposed to just the future. And like, how am I going to ever go fishing again? How am I going to watch football again? And like, you think like, I'm never going to have fun again. Like vacations are going to suck forever. In those moments, one day at a time was what I fell back on, especially early on. I was like, it's just right now. Like, and I've never to this day committed that I would never drink again. Have I ever said those
Nope,
words to you?
you have
I've
not.
never once said I'm never going to drink again.
So a lot of spouses might look at that as a red flag, right?
I hear you.
And I can understand that, but it's something that I learned early on within your recovery is the one day at a time is important for you. And it's important for me to recognize that, hey, you can't swear this off for the rest of your life. Like you have to take it one day at a time. As long as I'm looking at you doing what you're supposed to do each day, then I can like respect that one day at a time type of thing. So it's not a red flag for me. What would be a red flag for me would be you saying, okay, well, once I hit 10 years sobriety, I'm going to start drinking again.
Or maybe one day I could give this another shot.
Or one day I could try it again. Or one day, you know, and we've had open conversations about this where you've even said, you know, I've had thoughts of like, oh, maybe I could be okay doing this, right? You've had those thoughts but then you start going in deeper and you're like, no, I know that I'm not going to be okay drinking because once I take a drink, it's going to lead to my drug of choice, which would be the pills, like later on down the line, right? Yeah. So you know yourself and you've recognized that. But that's where like open, honest conversations within the relationship is important to have. But for me, looking at you explaining what one day at a time meant for you is important for me to understand that.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Like, because it sounds like a very scary thing. Like I'm never drinking. Because spouses want to hear like, I'm done with this for the rest of my life. We're going to be happy. You're going to be safe. You don't have to worry. That's just really not the way really anything works. Like I can't commit to the fact that I'll be here to even marry off our daughter. I could catch cancer or any number of things and get in an accident. Who knows, right? Like I plan on being sober in 10 years. Don't get me wrong. But I don't, my brain is far too small and far too feeble to think that far ahead.
I don't even think that's necessarily it either. I think that like in early recovery, you know, your brain just can't process that much of the future. Like you just can't do. I guess, well, now you've wired your brain to just like accept one day at a time for a lot of things within your life, if you think about that.
Yeah.
But I do think you still look at goals. You still look at things like that, you know, but your brain still focuses on one day.
As we will get to,
yes,
we'll talk about how the importance of just looking at today and what's in front of you today. And like, here's what I would give you some assurance is that like, I want to be sober more than anything. And I plan on being sober. I'm not making any commitments because if I make a commitment in some way, it opens the door for me to kind of rest on my laurels and I could kind of stay sober today off of what I did yesterday. I think it's another way of reminding myself that work has to be done every single day. And one day at a time is a reminder to me that my sobriety is contingent on the work that I put into it and the thinking behind it and the behaviors and the actions that go with recovery. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just committing today, but every day I wake up, every morning I wake up and I have the gift of life. The first thing I do is appreciate the fact that I woke up sober. And I sort of muster this inner strength and the spirit to say to myself, we're going to put forth effort today. We're going to commit to sobriety today. So every day I wake up and I have the gift of life, I'm committing to sobriety that day. But just that day, it's all I have. It's all we ever really have anyway.
Absolutely. With anything.
So it really is like really anything in life is one day at a time.
Yes.
And that's the way I've always looked at it. I've never looked at it as sort of this, how I think some folks can do where it's one day at a time for right now, with this open-ended idea that one day I can go back to the way I was. And that's the wildest thing to me. Like I've worked with a lot of people in sobriety and I've helped people get sober, and it makes no difference to me if you want to go drink, if you want to go use your drug of choice. I will never judge anybody for doing that. All I would ask is that you just be honest with yourself. Mm-hmm. Just be honest with yourself. And like, as we looked at your life and your patterns over time, to see that pattern and say like, that pattern is you, that pattern is your life. And so you can do whatever you want. Like you can go drink again. You may choose to do that. Just don't lie to yourself about what the most likely outcome of that is, right? Like Occam's razor, like the simplest explanation is often the correct one. I think you can look at that with pattern recognition as well and say, what's occurred in the past is likely to occur again in the future. Yeah. And so if you do the same thing that you failed every time, like the most likely outcome is abject failure. So go for it, do what you want, but just understand that the outcome of that is likely going to be abject failure, like it has been every other time. One day at a time, I think it's important to recognize you sort of do have to look forward in the sense that like, the reason I'm committing today is because if I don't, my default is I find the easy way to deal with anger, pain, anxiety, and all that stuff.
Yeah, you're going to go.
I'm focusing just on today. And what do I have to do today? And it breaks it down. It's so much simpler. That day, I need to do some sort of reading. I need to do some sort of spiritual practice. So that's for me, it's often like breath work or meditating. It's like taking some actual action, whether that's talking to someone in recovery, someone else like who's going through it because it's helpful for them and me to discuss this kind of stuff. It's also partly in my recovery is recognizing the importance of being a good man and honoring your experience and what you went through. I have to remind myself of the past every single day because it is as important to my recovery today as it is to my recovery in 10, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that stuff is there for me if I choose for it to be. So I'm focusing on all those things today. So every day I wake up and I'm committing in some way to recovery. But for spouses, this oftentimes gets a little fuzzy, which I think is pretty common when it comes to the appropriation of 12-step AA or NA terms and even actions like within the steps appropriated towards spouses and partners, because some of this stuff is so general that it's applicable for quite literally everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the stuff it becomes a bit more confusing when spouses and partners start talking about it's just one day at a time. It's just, well, what is one day at a time?
Yeah.
You know, so
like,
what's your take with
well,
this?
like there were I could see some people in certain groups like ask a very serious question about their relationship. Like, what do I do here? And somebody would just chime in, one day at a time. And it's like, well, that doesn't help me. What does that mean? What the hell does it mean one day at a time? Like, okay, I'm just going to sit here and wait around and just see if something changes. Like, no. And that's what makes our group a little bit different. Like we're not throwing out all of these, like go to a meeting one day at a time, focus on yourself.
It's common sense.
It's a disease. I could throw out all of these things that I've seen in other groups where I'm just like, that's not helpful because just leave all those things. It's more complicated than that, I think. I don't necessarily think it's more complicated. I just think it's like, we need guidance. We need a little bit of advice of like, what do I do with this specific situation? Don't just tell me to focus on myself or just take it one day at a time, because that's not going to change the situation.
It's going to be different for everyone too. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, it will be.
Like with someone in addiction recovery, the prescription for recovery, depending on what you're doing, right? If it's like a 12-step or if you're doing, let's say, medication-assisted treatment, or if you're just doing therapy, whatever your recovery looks like. Each smart recovery, like each of those has a pretty well-defined path, right? And there's going to be some kind of curriculum you're following, and your recovery is pretty clear. For a spouse or a partner, it is not. So when they're saying just for today, what is just for today? What does that just mean? Tolerating? Does that just mean... But does that actually mean focusing on some things I can control? Does it mean lower my expectations? Like it's pretty broad and it's different for everyone, which I think is why this can actually be probably the most misunderstood saying when it comes to spousal recovery.
Right. So it's really just about what we discuss all the time within our podcast, within our community, within our program. It's really just taking care of yourself in a way. It's having
and you mean by that like self-care?
Yes, this is self-care, which we talk about self-care a lot in the depths of it. That's not bubble baths. It's not spa days. It's not stuff like that. That's self-indulgence.
That has a place.
It does have a place.
But it's not self-care.
Self-care means, all of your categories. You're trying to fill all of your categories, your mental, your emotional, environmental, spiritual, social, physical. I don't know if I said physical. It's filling those buckets.
It's oftentimes the stuff that doesn't sound fun.
It's the stuff that doesn't sound fun. It's the hard things. It's exercise. It's reading. It's listening to this podcast. It's having hard conversations. It's journaling. It's looking at reality and not staying stuck with where you are. It's doing things today that will benefit your future self. It's not looking at the past too much. I mean, obviously we need to look at patterns, but it's not just like sitting around taking it one day at a time with what they're going through. Like it means your one day at a time is like, what boundaries am I going to set? What do my values look like? Am I living by my values? What am I doing that is actually in my control? It's really just taking care of yourself.
Yeah. It's that same commitment to your path forward.
Exactly.
today, because it will feel overwhelming and the future is uncertain. Most of the time for spouses, it's even more uncertain than it is for someone with addiction. A lot of people in recovery, especially like those who kind of know they got one foot in, one foot out, like what happens next for them is pretty clear. Like they're likely going to go back if you're not committed to something. That's just the most typical outcomes. For spouses and partners, you think about the future and I don't know if I'm going to be divorced. I don't know if we're going to be homeless. I don't know if we're going to be together. And if we are together, what's the quality of that relationship? What comes of our kids? Are we going to co-parent? And that alone, the weight of that can just crush you.
And just like, and also the fear of relapse as well. That crushes a lot of people. Like, and what I tell others in order to get through that is to have a plan in place, you know, and whenever you have a plan in place, when you're taking care of yourself and you're building on all of those different categories of self-care, you're going to have a plan in place. And then you're not going to worry about relapse because it's like, okay, every day I'm going to do what I need to do. And if it happens, I'm going to cross that bridge when it gets there. Like I know what's going to happen. That's the one day at a time. It's not focusing on the future of the what ifs. It's knowing that even if any of these things happen, you're going to be prepared to do it.
Yeah.
But you're taking that one day at a time. Let's say that you are in the process of leaving a relationship and it's too overwhelming, or maybe you're like, I need to get out of this situation, but thinking of everything that I need to do is making me so overwhelmed. That's where one day at a time comes into play. What can you do today to help you get to where you want in the future?
Right. Email your landlord to see what it would look like to split a lease
Talk to an
up.
attorney.
Right.
Talk to a co-parenting specialist.
Talk to a friend.
Talk
Do you
to
have
a friend.
A room, an extra room I could stay in.
Get a family member. See if you can get support. You know, it's those things that will add up over time to get you to where you want to be. Sitting around and just waiting and saying like one day at a time, I'm just going to, you know, all I have is today and I'm just going to sit here and wait and see what happens is not going to get you anywhere. The pattern is going to continue. It's all progressive, so it'll get worse over time if we just sit in it. So one of our favorite phrases that we say is nothing changes as nothing changes. This is very similar with that. It's like every day you have to do something for yourself, for your future self, one day at a time. Don't focus on what could happen or what's going to happen or what, may not happen. It's like, okay, am I living by my values? That's what's most important today. Because then your future self, you're going to be building that up.
Yeah, I think it is a call to action in some way, as opposed to what it sounds like is more of this call to passivity, where you're just going to sit there and kind of let things unfold. And you're just like, I'm just going to hang on for dear life today, one day at a time. Then don't get me wrong. There are those moments where you will be so overwhelmed that your one day at a time look like not breaking down. There will be those moments where it's like, I didn't think about hurting myself today. You'll have those days where that's what it looked like. But in general, I think it's typically a call to action for whatever your recovery looks like. What have I done today to set myself up for future success today? And it's whatever that means for you. As you talked about, the different forms of self-care. Sometimes it's even a perspective or an attitude that, listen, Rome wasn't built in a day. We are not going to solve this problem today. But these 4 things, if done today, and tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, those little micro actions that lead to long-term, really big changes. Those little micro wins stack up.
They do. And that's where that one day at a time comes in. It's like very beneficial. This term really did help me in all areas of my life. I just feel like a lot of people get it, kind of misunderstand it a little bit to where it just leads to inaction. And it's so important to take action. Like, you're not powerless. Like, you do have, some control over what you do every day to make sure you're living by the values that you want to live in. So basically it's just you learning how to stop abandoning yourself. It's learning how to put yourself first and know what you want.
Which is typically the prescription that spouses are given.
Yeah.
It's a really, really, really tough life because so much of you wants to be there for the person that you've been with for so long. And you want to support them, and there's nothing more you want than a happily ever after with that. But spouses and partners are often, you have to also prepare for alternative outcomes. And that's what this little tiny bits and pieces of work are. And I think it's beneficial because 2 things are possible. One is that they actually do figure it out, and you guys figure it out together, and you're both going to be so much stronger for it. You for having to have done all of that work and knowing that no matter what I do, you will be okay.
Exactly. That's the whole goal.
But
you want to be okay with
sitting
yourself.
there passively just being like, it's just one day at a time while you're like suffering and you're just holding on for dear life and you can feel your grip slipping is not what this means. I think that's, if I want anyone to gain anything from this episode, same with addiction recovery, like it gets worse, guys. Like this typically gets worse before it gets better. Being wholly transparent with you, like that guy told me, like that first year, it sucks. You're going to laugh when you should be crying. You're going to cry when you should be laughing. You're not going to know how to respond. You're going to get stuff wrong. You're going to screw up. That's the reality of it. And it's very much for the same for you guys. It's the exact same thing. It sucks. As much as we want to sit here and tell people like, oh, hang in there, it gets better. Hang in there, it gets worse.
Yeah, but then eventually you're like, oh, damn, all of that work that I've done has been very empowering and encouraging for myself. And I'm grateful that I did go through that because I've learned a lot about who I am and what I've dealt with and what I can deal with going forward. Like that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. So for relationships, like when your two people are in a relationship.
Yeah. Okay. So first I wanted to say, like, I fear that this term may get weaponized in some relationships.
What term?
One day at a time.
One day at a time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In what way?
From me
to you.
Yes, exactly. Because you could be saying, just one day at a time. Today I'm doing the best I can, and might be saying
this is like relapse as part of recovery.
Right,
sort of thing.
right. And then maybe not really shifting their behaviors at all, and just maybe just focusing on the sobriety or something. I just feel like it could be weaponized against somebody to where it's like, I'm doing everything one day at a time and not really focusing on really making changes.
Most of the time it's like, I'm just ruminating one day at a time. I'm not really changing anything.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. Like maybe those who like sit in it for a long time, like in their feels, in their emotions and like, I'm not good enough. I'm never going to be good enough. I'm not going to be able to do this. This is going to be hard, but I know I got to take it like one day at a time. But it's like, I feel like, does anything ever change? Really? Like you didn't have that when you got sober and when you were in recovery, you like really balls to the wall. And that's why I took you seriously.
Yeah. There was long after I got sober, someone put the feelings I had into perfect words. And it's actually Alex Hormozy. This is what hard feels like.
We were just talking about him.
So let's just say that you wanted to get sober and you came to me and said, I want to get sober. Okay. I would help you through that. And then some point down the line, you would be like, this sucks. Like, this is hard. And I would ask you something like this. Okay. When we started this, did you think it would be easy? My guess is you would say, no, I didn't think it would be easy. I knew it would be hard. And I'd look at you and I'd give you a hug and I'd be like, this is what hard feels like. This right now is what hard is like. And you're doing it right now. Like you're living through hard, but it is hard. And in those moments, it really helped reframe for me that like, even though like it is one day at a time, there will be days where it's like, you don't want to move forward. You don't want to do jack shit because hard doesn't feel good. Hard feels shitty, and shitty makes you want to stop. It makes you want to go back to what you've known, what's comfortable. It makes you want to run from that feeling. But one day at a time reminded me in those moments that like, this is temporary as I'm getting stronger.
It's temporary.
Yes. As I'm getting stronger,
yes.
Days like today will be the thing if I fall back on 5-10 years from now to remember you can really do some hard things. Like you ought to be proud of yourself.
If this were easy, then we wouldn't be having this problem.
No, it's hard.
Like think about it.
It's really hard.
What's easy is staying stuck.
Yeah. That's the
growth is
doing
hard.
Doing nothing is easy.
Doing nothing. Yeah. Like
but
just
that's
staying.
Not the same thing as one day at a time.
No, but I know that, I mean, can you see where somebody could weaponize that?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that, they were probably, I don't remember if I ever used the exact term, but I know that I did exactly what you're alluding to, which was like one of the things that you would always ask me was basically like, grow the F up. This is long before recovery. This is when I was still using, because it was always about the behaviors for you. Like regardless of what you're doing over there with that bottle, I don't really care. You need to grow up. Yeah. And for me, it was like, you're being too hard on me. Like I'm doing my best right now. And that is a reframe of today I'm doing my best. And what your reminder was your best is not good enough. Close to the standard of what I would consider doing anything that amounts to something you deserve a congrats for. Like thinking about doing something is not the same as doing something. You were either doing it or not. In the words of Yoda, do or do not, there is no try. I'm trying my best. No, you're not. You're not doing anything. How are you even trying if you're not doing anything? Right. And that can be used against spouses or partners. And what it's going to do is going to tug at those empathy that you have, that deep empathy you have for this person, because you know their whole story, man. You know the why of it all.
Yeah.
You understand that, and you know that there's pain behind it. Don't let people pull at your empathy as a way to not hold them accountable or as a way to relieve them of the responsibility of what they should be doing.
Oh,
it's so hard to separate the two when you're a compassionate person. If you're an empath, like you were like this too, you know why I do the things I do. You know that where it comes from, and you have so much empathy for me.
But it's not an excuse.
Never let I'm trying my best turn into that's what one day at a time looks like. It doesn't. It's an action. It's a call to action. It's not just passivity.
Yeah. And that means that I would just be condoning what you're doing and allowing you to stay stuck when I want to challenge you. Like we had some of our earlier episodes, I believe we've talked about how like I wasn't trying to control you. I was trying to challenge you.
Yes.
And that's what partners, I believe, should do for each other. Excuse me, just like you challenged me. Like it's important. That's what we do. It's like, why would I want to keep you stuck? Like that's not healthy for either one of us. Like I'm going to challenge your ass, and I hope you do the same for me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Okay. So let's go. When it comes to the relationships,
this is for people who are like, is this section for people who are in recovery together,
yes.
or is this for people who are on the outs?
No, this is for
like what you and I did.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. So what does one day at a time mean like within your relationship? Because we talked about it individually and how it can help, you on your journey and the spouse on their journey, like to growth and, self-development and self-respect and being the person that you want to be. So what would it look like within a relationship with recovery? Because we talk about recovering separately, but together, right? Yeah. I feel as though as long as you're doing your part and I'm doing my part, it kind of comes together, right? It's more of like, okay, there isn't really a formula for it. It's just like you're doing your thing, I'm doing mine, kind of in a way. And then we come together and we discuss it and having open conversations about it. Like that's where it's going to be beneficial.
I think something that has to be assumed in there, though, you're right, by the way, but something that has to be assumed and I think that is required is that there also has to be an understanding and a compassion for the other person's effort and journey.
Yes.
Like in order for me to see what you're doing today for your recovery, I also have to acknowledge like the reason that you're having to do this in the first place and understand the pain behind it and everything else. And I think you do the same for me.
It's holding space for each other.
Holding space while also holding one another accountable.
Accountable. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's having those open conversations. And it's also recognizing the patterns, and making sure you're not just like letting things slide just because you feel like you're doing things, one day at a time or whatever. It's not to turn a blind eye. Like you still need to recognize what your partner is doing and what they're going through and how are they aligning with your values? Like if they're not, obviously there's something that you need to do within yourself, like to change and build yourself up and set more boundaries or live by your values. But I don't know. It's just kind of like you just kind of come together by talking about it. But I'm not sure. Like, what do you feel whenever it comes to a relationship? How would this apply?
I mean, I think that the recover separately together thing gets people really tangled up because they look at it like these are two divergent paths and you're headed that direction and I'm headed that direction. And it's not really. What it really is that you have a goal as a couple. My guess is it's probably pretty similar. Maybe some of the specifics are different, but for the most part, you both know that you're trying to get there, wherever the there is, moving down the road. My path to that is going to look slightly different, but we're both going in the same direction. Like let's say that there's a mountain and there's different routes you can take up a mountain. We're going to take different paths up that mountain to get to the same point on that mountain. My recovery from addiction will be a bit different. Like I was going to like 12-step meetings and I was helping other people and I was doing a lot of things. And yours, I think for an addicted person, it's kind of scary to watch your spouse walk down this path because the more independent they become and the more self-reliant they become, the less that they depend on you. And if you're not secure in that relationship, if you're not secure in yourself, then what it feels like is they're learning how to leave you. And in a lot of ways, they kind of are if they had to.
If they had to.
But
we should all be prepared for that. But you
should also understand like that is true love to let someone get to that point. Like that tells me that you're with me because you want to be, not because you have to be. Mm-hmm. And like that's what I think a lot of our journey looked like. And one day at a time was more or less like I'm going to do my things that I need to do and you're going to do your things. And some of your stuff was like reading about boundaries to use on me, and I have to be supportive of that.
Boundaries are for me, not you.
I have to be supportive of that journey. I have to be supportive of your recovery. I think a lot of people who are on my side of this really struggle with what their spouses are doing. like, especially the ones who aren't really involved, like if their spouse is a listener or they know that they're involved with this thing called TUFO, it's a threat to them because it's the more you find out over there, the more I'm going to be held accountable, the more that you're not going to tolerate my crap, the more that you are going to learn that you're going to be okay with or without me. And that's dangerous to me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so if that scares you, good, it should. What can you do about it? Well, you can begin to walk your own path. You can begin to acknowledge their journey, what you've put them through, develop empathy for that. Work recovery like your life truly depends on it. And not just your life, but your relationship and your family does as well. And like once you start down that path and like you give your spouse a space to heal with their one day at a time, I think that you've started something that you can't go back on.
Yeah.
Like the Pandora's box is open, the can of worms, they're everywhere. You can't put this stuff back in. It's out there. And that's an amazing thing. Like, it's sort of like when we talked about Soberlink, like once you give someone visibility, once you've validated their journey, like you can't go back on that.
It's reality. You're waking up.
You've like quite literally accepted the reality of it and you've taken accountability for it. And I don't know, I think it's been amazing for us, but it's been different paths at times. Like therapy was such a huge part of your journey.
Yes, it was.
It was a smaller part of mine.
Yes.
You know, like that was really what you did. And like you probably read more than I do.
Mm-hmm.
There's just, but there were also things that you had to do to sacrifice for me. Like I remember, especially early on, like I was so involved in recovery meetings and stuff like that. I was gone a lot. And like you understood though, like that's what he has to do today to get better.
Yeah.
And I had to do the same.
You did. And we might have had some like little arguments about them. Cause I know like when I was in therapy and I was learning a lot of stuff, it was a threat to you on certain things where you're like, this is BS, or you were trying to challenge it. And it
what
was,
are they teaching you?
What are they teaching you? Like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to continue. I don't care what you think. I'm going to continue down this path because it feels right for me. What's being discussed.
Yeah.
And it's making me stronger and it's empowering me and encouraging me to like set boundaries and learn. It really validated the hell out of me. And helped me trust my gut more. And when it threatened you and you didn't like that, it was like, I got to a point where I was like, I didn't care. I'm like, I'm still going to keep going, which is great. And then you allowed it after a time. You were just like, okay. And then finally you kind of caught up.
Dude, I support it.
And we both do that.
1,000,000%.
There are a lot of things that like you learn and I'm like, oh, that's bullshit. I don't believe in that. That's whatever. But I gave you that space.
Lecture me on it.
Yeah. But I gave you that space. And then eventually I kind of like agree with that. I'm like, okay, this makes sense, whatnot. But this kind of, as we're talking about like recovery together or whatnot, I don't know if this was a message we received or a comment or something, but somebody had said that they were asking their partner about their recovery. Like they were asking their spouse about their recovery, like at AA. And they said, they told their spouse to mind their own business. This is my recovery. You don't need to be in on it. I know. Okay.
Where's the red flag?
I'm like, red flag, total red flag. So if you're a listener and this was you, and I don't know, I'm not sure if I responded to it or not, but it just kind of popped in my brain. That's a major red flag. Like we discussed your recovery. I know that people say like, my recovery is my recovery. Your recovery is your recovery. Yes and no. Like you are a married couple. You are supposed to share stuff with each other. Like we're supposed to depend on each other for certain things. We're supposed to rely on each other. We're supposed to have communication. Like Matt would come home every day and start talking about stuff. Like he wouldn't tell me people's names or anything like that, but he would say like, look, this is what I'm learning. This is what happened. And it's like, ooh, I'm really interested in this. We're having a conversation. And I would hope he would do the same for me if I was going through something similar. I didn't have a community or anything like that back then. And now like we have our own community. So we're always talking about recovery. Yeah. But it's just a red flag. Like you should be able to talk to each other about what's going on and what you're dealing with. It's also a source of accountability. It's like, okay, look, this is what I learned. Like I fucked up and I need to apologize to you because I learned in here that what I did was actually really wrong to people around me or something like that, And I feel like them not allowing you into that part of their life is sad,
If you're not included in their recovery, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing as a couple here?
Yeah.
If I'm not part of your life, if recovery is a big part of your life and I'm not involved in your life, then what are we doing here? Let's just go ahead and sign the paperwork and get it over with. I can't, in the way that I remember this comment or letter or whatever we'd gotten, but it was not anyone trying to pry on like super personal details or go through some of the more complex pieces. It wasn't like they were trying to read someone's like fourth step or something or their fifth step. It wasn't like they wanted to sit in on stuff like that. It was like really basic conversations. Like, what are you learning? Like, what's going on? Like how are you receiving this stuff? And how are you able to relate to it? It was like a really basic convo. It's like, that's my recovery. What are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Like, what are you trying to hide is that's
question. My thing is like, what are I feel like you're trying to hide something at that point when you're not really allowing your person to like be involved with what you're going through. Like I just feel like there's something hiding from that. It's just something I wanted to throw into this.
It's just another example of how we can take some of these messages and just send them to places where they don't belong.
Where it just doesn't work that way.
And speaking of that, I think it's, we could talk about how like some other programs misinterpret this stuff.
Yeah. Let's get into that.
How is it meant to be used? We've talked about that. Now, how is it oftentimes misinterpreted?
So it's meant to be used like to reduce anxiety and bring focus back to yourself. I think I said that.
But I think that's great and that's fair and that pretty much well encompasses it.
That is like, okay, cool. Like I understand focusing on myself is important. I'm also a big believer, if you're married, that you do need to focus on some of the things that your partner does, and you need to know about the dynamics in your relationship. You need to understand the patterns. That's why we have a relationship evaluation, how it's not just about staying on your side of the street and not just about focusing on yourself. You need to recognize what's going on within your relationship. That's kind of sidetracking right there, but I just wanted to be clear on that because it is important. You know, we talk about focusing on yourself. Yes, that's important, but also the relationship is important. It's really good at just saying like, handle what you can today.
Yeah. At its best, that's how the message is interpreted.
That is how it's like,
what can we focus on
today? What can we control today? What can we do today?
Like, what can we change? What can we work toward?
I think that
what action could I take today?
What action can I take? What can I change today? Like that's what it really should, mean. But what I see and what I fear happens more times than not is that people might take it as enduring chaos and staying within some type of dynamic, turning a blind eye to what's really going on in your life. Just focusing on yourself could give people the idea of like, I'm just going to do what I need to do and they get to do whatever they need to do and I'm just going to ignore it. And that can keep you in denial instead of actual looking at reality of what's going on.
Right. At its best, it's handle what you can today. At its worst, it's like it's a form of endurance training. It's like, let's just see how much we can suffer and pretend like it's not going to happen again tomorrow. Like how much can we suffer and not do a damn thing about?
Right.
And let's just, F it. Let's just, just deal with it. Just deal with it. It's almost like like I said, it's a call to someone to be passive, to roll over, to let horrible things happen without the empowering message that like we can control some things today. Right in this moment, there's something that we can be doing.
Yeah. It's just sometimes it can turn into just to justifying what you're dealing with and just accept. It's almost like the acceptance, accepting what I can do today or accepting what's going on within my life. But when we do that, and like we've mentioned before, if nothing changes, just sitting around and waiting for like hope that one day something will change, it's not how it works.
I think a lot of people use it it's a way, they don't do this intentionally, but I think it's a message with not explained well, keeps people stuck in denial. It will keep you stuck in this delusion.
It will.
That just doing nothing is the solution. That just doing nothing is going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. That's not true. That's just not true. If you do nothing, the most likely outcome is what's been going on, if not worse, just because of the progressive nature generally of addiction and substances. And the relationship dynamics going to get worse too. Do not take this as, let me just forget about my problems right now, because that's not what it is at all. It's the opposite of that. It's acknowledging reality and what do I have control and power over right now today. For me, in addiction recovery, I had control over whether or not I got up and I did the things that I was told to do, by like my therapists and like the people that helped me get sober. Was I going to do those things or not? Was I going to take care of my body and, return some kind of semblance of respect toward myself and exercise? If I was going to hold myself accountable to some degree, if I was going to let you hold me accountable to some degree, like those things were in my control. And that's what recovering is. It's walking, living action recovery.
Yeah.
It wasn't just being like, I'm just gonna, I'm just chilling.
just one day at a time.
Just chilling, I'm just like on a white knuckle today and expect it to be better tomorrow. And it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Again, like I said earlier, when somebody asks like a deep question, like, what do I do in this situation? And someone's like, just take it one day at a time. It's like, okay, that's not helpful. Like I need some actual guidance on what do I need to do in this situation? Like, what can I do today? A good response would be like, okay, here's what can you do today to get you, I don't know, out of that situation or whatever it is. A lot of the times we're asking the wrong questions, which we've discussed that as well. So it might be complicated to actually answer it in the way that's beneficial, but either way, what can you do today to like help you answer this question for yourself? Mm-hmm. Like what action can you take?
Yeah. One of my biggest gripes with program people, and I was a program guy. I am a program guy. Don't get me wrong, but we throw these sayings out as if a stranger on the internet understands the context in the same exact way that you do. And they don't. And people who work 12 steps of any kind are really guilty of doing this. If you are genuinely trying to help someone, would you please offer an explanation that goes along with that? Mm-hmm. Because so oftentimes it's like they go to the aasayings.com and just copy and paste shit and put it in the comments.
I know that
it makes you sound culty. It makes you sound dismissive. It makes it sound like you don't give a shit or that you know something they don't know, but you're also kind of withholding the information. And you're not willing to explain it to a degree that could actually make it helpful for someone.
Yeah, that. But also I know that it takes a lot of brain power to respond to certain questions.
Then don't respond to it if you don't want to be helpful.
That's what I was going to say. Don't respond if you don't feel like it's going to be
helpful. Then don't be responsive because it just sounds arrogant.
Because there are times like in our community, there are times
a cryptic way of saying it.
Right. But there are times in our community where people will ask questions and then I'm like, hey, check out this specific podcast. It will give you the answer. But to me, that's not super dismissive because it's like, if you go to that episode, you're going to listen to an hour of a conversation that's going to actually give you the answer instead of me typing out that entire thing.
Sure.
That's what's awesome about our resources and what we offer. It's like, here, you can go to this and it's going to answer your question. But a lot of people, it's like, go to a meeting, talk to your sponsor, go to this, go to that, or da-da-da. It's like, I'm actually going to answer your question in a way that, will help you figure out whatever you need to do next. But it's just not helpful when people are just like, just take it one day at a time.
just throw this poster at you.
Yeah. But again, like I said, it does take a lot of mental labor for people to respond to certain questions because it's challenging. It's hard. But I think like in our community, people do an amazing job.
Our community is the shit.
Oh my God. At responding, like Matt and I were going through comments recently. We don't always go through everything because it's just it's a lot on us. We do a lot of stuff in the background. But we were looking and I was like, God, like these responses are
so
amazing. Because I remember when we first started the community and there were a lot of people coming in saying, go to Al-Anon, go to a meeting, find a sponsor. Like there were, and we had to weed that out because that's not what our media or what our group is about.
There are groups for that.
There are groups for that. And that's fine. Go do your thing. But in our community, there's actually problems being solved based on what you learn in the program.
This is what in the podcast. To me. Here's how I applied it in my life.
Yes, this is what I did. This is how it's not like a whole, it's just so watered down to me. It's so watered down when I see all that stuff. And I'm like, that's not validating. That's not what I'm here for. This is not what this community is here for. People are actually solving problems and helping each other. And it's so empowering and I freaking love it. But like I said, when we first started it, it wasn't like that. And we just had to like I'm going to continue talking about it. I'm going to continue saying like, this is not what this place is for. This space is to actually validate people, educate people, empower them, and help them on their own recovery journey. It's not about, hey, go do this. I just wanted to put that.
I like that. I like that so much. I just think that so oftentimes I see people who I know have good recovery, but have just maybe they're just burned out on trying to explain to someone. I don't know why you would ever want to stop being a good teacher, or because every time you explain it differently, you also learn it better. I just don't understand why we give people like these dismissive responses that are so cryptic. Like,
that's
what
the
does
thing.
That mean?
Yeah.
Like I just poured my heart out and told you I was struggling. And you wrote me like this one sentence that was nothing more than this thing that you've heard in the rooms. It's a poster on the wall. How is that? Like, how did you apply that and get help from it? Tell me your experience with this thing as opposed to just like throwing this gibberish shit at me.
Yeah. But also that their experience, the reason they do it that way is because they're like, okay, this really helps me. And you're going to get all the answers that you're looking for if you just go and do this program or do what I tell you to say. And I'm going to challenge that thought, because there's a lot of listeners and people in our community who tried those programs.
Sure.
And they realized that wasn't for them. So they needed something completely different, which is what we offer. And, but a lot of people think that their experience, since it worked for them, is supposed to work for everyone else. And that's just not the reality of these. Like, things need to progress. Things need to change. Some programs are from 100 years ago where times have changed and it has not changed.
I also don't know why you wouldn't supplement your recovery with as many possible tools that are out there.
Yep.
And so like for me, like being like originally like working 12 steps, like I still work people through that. I've also supplemented my recovery with pulling from other things, as many things as I can possibly find.
Franken program. That's what we are.
And so like there's a lot of people that listen that like are in Al-Anon and like they're like proud of their recovery and what they've learned, and like they feel like it was truly life-saving. Like it was like a huge identity shift. And then they find our stuff and it's like, oh, let me like add this to my toolkit too. That's really good as well.
That's growth. That's a growth mindset. But when people think it's only this way or that way is whenever you're going to stay stuck and you're not really recognizing that there are other options out there. The only reason people throw these different programs out there, just that one program out there, is because that's really all that's available.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still other stuff. Like there's smart recovery for family and friends. I know people who listen to us and are in our program and still do smart recovery as well, because they're gaining so much knowledge from everything out there. And you'll hear from us, like we've taken stuff from AA and from Al-Anon and we're like, this was beneficial. And I've said that there's some things in Al-Anon where I'm like, okay, that's a great life lesson. Like the whole 1 day at a time thing. I'm like, all right, this is awesome. I can roll with this as long as I'm interpreting it the proper way. But it's not like it's just that thing. Just go do that. A lot of people have been traumatized in certain programs. They have like been really harmed. So it's like, just stop throwing that out there. Like, I get it. I understand. If it worked for you, great. That's awesome. But let's broaden our horizons. Let's open up our minds a little bit and like be accepting to other things that might come to light.
Let's just try to be more helpful.
Yeah. Let's just be more helpful. That's all. But like I said, it's the mental load of actually responding to some things are really challenging. But that's why you and I are having these conversations every week, is to give people those tools like, hey, we've got something. You can go and listen and grab some things, take what you want and leave the rest. That's another thing that we,
that's a good
learn
one.
It is a good one.
The
and
three
I agree.
C's are amazing. That's a good one.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about someone else's decisions.
Yeah. No,
like,
I get that.
Good luck trying to control that.
No, for sure.
You didn't.
For sure. That. Yeah. But it's just, I don't know. We're just trying to like offer more resources for others out there. And a lot of people are benefiting from it. Yeah. So, and not just spouses, like even the addict or the couples. As couples, there's a lot of couples who listen who are like, okay, we're getting something from this.
Yeah, and 1 day at a time is one I think that this can be used in various aspects in your life to really help you get somewhere. Like I said, it's a call to action. I know that I've used this when it came to like weight loss and exercise and fitness. I've used this when it comes to work a lot. We used this when it came to like building this show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So 1 day at a time for me, I'm actually excited about discussing this because this is where it really helped me the most. It wasn't necessarily like my recovery or my healing where it was helpful. It's like with everyday life. It's every day. So every day I wake up and I thank the universe that, thank you for giving me another day to have an opportunity to make changes and to do something different than I did before. And that's me looking at this as like 1 day at a time. Like what I did yesterday, I mean, it matters, but obviously like what I do today is what really matters more. I can just focus on today.
Yeah.
And that helped a lot with like my anxiety. It helped a lot with my weight loss. Like you were saying, like when I wake up and I'm going to exercise, I don't plan my exercises the day before. I don't plan it the week before. I'm more of like, all right, what am I going to do today? That's my 1 day at a time because I know that it's going to benefit me in the future no matter what I do. I can't focus too much on like planning all the things. Sometimes I do have to do things just one thing at a time because it's easier for me to, focus on that than it is at the big picture.
Yeah. I think if you look too far ahead, and that's like, if you think about the ultimate goal too much, and then you compare that or you contrast that where you are right now, it can feel rather defeating.
No, it's overwhelming as hell.
especially like with weight loss, like you can put in the effort, you can be starving that day because you've cut your calories down, that you're eating like healthy foods that you normally wouldn't eat. You've made a lot of massive changes, and it is super heavy. Your body's going to be sore. You're going to be like, I feel like I've just got thrown through like a tumble cycle in the dryer. Like I am really struggling right now. And you think about the final goal, and you look at yourself in the mirror that night as you've gone through all this horrible day of like fitness stuff, and you're like, F this. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like I'm no closer, but you are. You are. In some invisible ways that you may not be able to tell you are. So like just focus on today. Just do that. And like you had an amazing day doing what you could today. And that's what really matters. If you keep that attitude and you stack that up for 6 months or 9 months or a year, you're going to be a completely different person inside and out.
Yeah. We live in a culture, in a society where you get, quick rewards.
I need it right now.
I need it right now because everything is so fast paced. But if we were to remove all of that stuff that's like so quick and so fast paced and like tries to like solve your problem so easily, there's always consequences that come to that. If you remove it and you see everything from like the base level of human beings, of being a human, it's not as simple as, oh, I'm going to have results in a week. I'm going to have results in a couple of months. Like it is long-term stacking up, like you said, every day of action that's going to build you up.
And sort of what you're alluding to here is that what one day at a time and commitment to today really does is it builds the discipline that will ultimately drive you to that finish line.
Exactly.
But without focusing on like what I can do today, without getting overwhelmed about tomorrow, just focus on today. Like if you only focus on today, I don't have to think about all the crap that I have to do tomorrow. I know that the stuff I have to do today matters. And if I'm present for the stuff that matters right now, it will clear my plate for tomorrow. Because what's worse than not focusing on right now and thinking about tomorrow is that it creates an anxiety of its own that makes the work that you're doing now terrible. And then you're not going to do it, or you're going to half-ass it. And then when tomorrow comes, you're going to have anxiety about the stuff you didn't do yesterday. Yep. Plus tomorrow. Like, let's just focus on look, when we were building this show, I remember when we first got started, like it's overwhelming to try to like do this. Like it really was, because we didn't know where to start. Like I was just like, one day I got online and for an hour or two, I researched like, what is an RSS feed? What does that even mean? How do you get one? Where do you host a podcast? How do you record a podcast? How do you
What
edit?
kind of equipment do I use?
I didn't do all this in one day. It was like I would spend like an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, like for a little period of time on like one day. Like this is what I can stomach and handle today. And I'm going to learn how to edit audio today. I'm going to learn where to host a platform today. I'm going to learn about cameras one day, not now, but it was like one little piece at a time. And you focus on having good conversations and you just post them.
Well, like think about our topics. Okay. I don't know if people understand this or are aware. Like we don't have topics in the bank that we pull out, we're going to do this one next week. And then the next week we're going to do this one. And then the next week we're going to do this one. No, we pull it out whenever we feel like this is what we want to talk about. It's not, and that's almost like a one day at a time type of thing. It's not like I got all of these topics in line and this is what we're going to discuss. It's like, no, this is what I want to talk about today. Like this topic today, we brought this up today. It was not something that we had even discussed that we were going to talk about. We just kind of go with the flow and we do it, and it all adds up and it all builds, and you get to see us evolve and you get to see us change and see what we're dealing with over time. Because we didn't know what this was going to turn into. We had no idea what this was going to turn into. So we had to take it literally one day at a time. I'm like, I'm not going to focus what this is going to look like in 5 years, because that's overwhelming as hell. That means I have to make sure everything is in line and organized. And if that happens, we would never started.
Right. You'll never start.
You'll never start.
The weight of it's just so big. But if you focus on like right now, and like if I stress about next year's problems right now, like how is it really going to help me? But I can do something today to set me up for next year's problems. And that can be starting to knock out some books so I can know what I'm going to talk about with certain guests. It's getting certain guests like on the table. Like when it came to like, even like the new sweatshirts and stuff we designed, like one day I sat down and I just started to design. And then after I did some designs, like I put them up on the wall and I stared at them for a week or two until like that felt right or that didn't feel right. And then it's like, every day I was doing something though, making progress, contacting different printers, getting, different samples. And like, that's what I did that day. I didn't try to solve it all in one day. And I think that's oftentimes what we feel like we want to do. And that's why it feels absolutely effing impossible. And what's why I've never said like, I'm never going to drink again. Dude, I'm focused on right now. And right now I have zero desire. I will not drink today. That is the best I can do for you. And I've been doing that, and it's been working now for almost 13 years.
Right.
And fight me on it. It works. Okay. It really does. And so if you're someone that really struggles with the future, like future tripping, as it's often referred to, just focus on the right now. Just focus on today. Let's just stack a win today. And then tomorrow we're going to stack another win. And the next day we'll stack another win. We'll worry about that when the day comes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's about living. It's about living intentionally, right? It's about one day, one boundary, one truth at a time. It's not about like, oh, I've got to throw up all of these boundaries. You know, I've got to make sure I'm doing all of these things. Kind of like when I talked about self-care, when we feed all of our categories, if you feel like that's too overwhelming, just start fueling like one of those categories. Go listen to my gentle self-care.
That's a great episode for one day at a time.
That is from, I think it was like 70 something. I'm going to screw that up, but it was like from almost 2 years ago, but it's still
a couple hundred episodes
still
ago.
Important, especially for people in survival mode. If you don't know where to start, if you're like, I don't know how to take care of myself. I don't know how to focus on myself. I don't know how to take it one day at a time. Go listen to that episode, and it helps guide you into like, what do you need to do today? Which one do you need to fill first? Like it's hard to do it all at once. It's hard to do your physical, your emotional, your mental environment. Like that seems so overwhelming.
Yeah.
So what can you do like for a week of one thing, like to feed your emotional
This is
load?
An antidote to anxiety, I think in a lot of ways. And it also creates mental simplicity, where you take all these complex, overwhelming things and you distill them down to the most important parts that you actually have control over right now.
Mm-hmm.
So much of this stuff is out of your control as a spouse, and you are going to need help managing your stress. This is a really easy way to start to manage stress. Is let's distill it. Let's, make a singularity out of it to say, what can I do right now? As opposed to letting this huge problem that's miles wide just crush you. Take a little bitty piece of it today, and let's just focus on what I can do today.
Yeah. And
detach yourself from like the 10-year outcome.
Right. And also I think a huge mental shift that I've even seen so many wheelies, they've made this mental shift and it has been so beneficial for them. And it kind of goes along with this is like, instead of saying, what if something happens, you say, even if something happens, because you're going to be prepared for that, even if, not the instead of what if, because the what if is like going to pile on that anxiety for you, because you're going to be like, I don't know what to do if this happens. But if you say, even if it happens, it's going to push you to take things one day at a time and push forward, like, and take action, because you're going to be prepared for even if it happens.
Absolutely.
It's just a great mental, yes. It's just a great way to look. I think about that all the time with stuff that happens. I'm like, even if my future self is going to be able to handle that, because every day I'm doing something for myself to build myself up.
Yeah. Don't forget your future self was a badass, and you have evidence of that in your life right now, because future you is you right now that you 3 weeks ago was convinced couldn't handle today. And you are. Look at you go. You're doing it. Yeah. So you are like, in fact, a badass, and you will handle this problem even if it comes up. You will be able to handle it. I think two things here to finish it out is I hope people have understood like what this means, and that it's not a way you should never use this as a way to decrease your expectations.
No.
Or to try to gaslight yourself that things aren't as bad as they really are, or to minimize things, or to just ignore shit.
Ooh, that goes with my recent pages perspective.
Yeah, let's not do that. It just means that we focus our energy on the things that are in front of us. We don't live for the past or the future. We live for the right now and the things that we can touch and we can control right now.
There's such a gray area with this, and I think a lot of us like we struggle with the gray area of things, because a lot of us are all or nothing or black and white and all that. Mentality. It's like, well, one day at a time, it means this. But it's like, there's so much gray area, because you still need to focus on the patterns. You still need to understand that you're not lowering your expectations, but you still have to take action. It's like, it seems overwhelming, but it's really not. If you take what we're saying today and apply it to your life, you'll see the gray area of what we're discussing.
Right.
I hope, because I think you do a really good job at articulating.
I hope so. I was gonna go back and listen to this, and
I don't listen to them.
I usually don't either. Usually not, unless I have to cut clips, in which case you have to kind of hear some of it. But
that's true.
I think for me, it meant so much of one day at a time was like staying sober. And like in those early days, that was what I held on to, because as there were many days where that's the best I could do was just stay sober in the beginning. Some of that big stuff was going to work itself out if I continued to focus on what I could control that day and not think about the future. But I think for spouses, so much of this is, I think it's just, you have to keep your self-respect. You stay self-respecting. You stay the course of your recovery as well and the things that you can control. And please don't let this ever be something that's thrown at you as a way for you to stop having expectations for basic decency in a relationship or what someone should be doing on any given day. And I said should be doing because I do believe that there are some things that people should be doing, period. And we need to stop acting like you can't expect basics. Like, don't ever let anyone tell you that you're expecting too much when all you've expected is basically what you would do, which is to have common courtesy, to be respectful, to be kind, to be held accountable, just like you would be. Guys, we can expect that. Let's stop pretending like we can't. And let's never use one day at a time as a way to forget that fact that you can't expect those things. You should respect those things. We can all meet that bar.
Yep.
Every single one of us can meet that bar.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So one day at a time. Not as confusing as you think.
Nah.
Not as confusing as you think.
But is it? No, I'm just kidding.
Part 2. No. I think it's all we got here.
Yeah.
Did we cover it all?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Until next time, I'm Matt.
I'm Paige.
We'll see you.
Bye.